What's going on, my PT peeps, Walking Dead family and my fighters? I'm One Eyebrow, also known as PT, and I'm back to talk about The Walking Dead Season 10, Episode 5. Spoiler warning for The Walking Dead as a whole, the show, the comics, all that stuff, but I'm going to give you my review, recap, and discussion for The Walking Dead Season 10, Episode 5, and that smile says it all. But Season 10, Episode 5 had it all. It was a good story, it definitely set some things up, and I can't wait to see what happens next week and the rest of this season. But first, guys, if you can, make sure you're subscribed. And also, if you're not, please join our PT channel, Walking Dead family, here by subscribing. It's easy, ringing the bell, get notifications, and I hope you don't miss out. But the opening was interesting. It focused on Kelly. And I'm glad she wasn't alone. She was with Oscar and the rest of the Kingdom fighters and Hilltop members. But it was interesting because they highlighted all these little sounds, the insects, the banners. But what were these banners here for? I don't know. I guess they were just, for decoration. Is this the Whisperer camp? I'm not sure exactly what it was, but it was interesting because we saw the woods and then we saw the spider a couple times, actually. We saw this one and another one. We saw the boar getting shot, and I wonder if this was an actual wild boar. No, I doubt it. But either way, we saw Kelly going after something, and she was with Oscar, so it was like, okay, she wasn't alone, but she really should have went out with somebody else. So I'm not sure if this is going to come back around to bite her in the butt, but if potentially it could happen because her hearing is definitely a problem. And this wasn't the first time. We saw it in the premiere episode, and I definitely think it's going to come up again. But I thought it was interesting that they showed Kelly taking out the boar. I mean, we saw, look at the face right there. You see it pretty close up, and it's kind of like, okay. And I feel bad for Kelly. Well, I feel bad for anybody who was tracking this thing and they're going to take it out and it could feed some people, and then walkers come around and ruin everything. Walkers ruin everything, right? And I just want to make this clear that Kelly is a girl. Angel Theory is a woman. And some people still don't know because Kelly in the comics is a man, and I don't know if that's the thing here or not, but just setting the record straight, Kelly is a woman, the sister of Connie. So again, the walkers ruin everything. They're chomping down on this boar, and they really chomp it down pretty good because we see it later. And Kelly is running through the woods. And my question is to you, is how did she get away from the walkers that were basically going to get her? We see her here, she's looking around, she's running, all over the place, and she sees a walker, and she's scared, and then she trips and rolls down the hill, or whatever you want to call it, and she scratches up her face, and she's in rough shape. Maybe she's out of it, and maybe she, hit her head, and she's got a little concussion, but she's laying here against a rock, and she's kind of out of it. And then this walker's coming there, and it's made for the drama, it's made to just be like, oh my goodness, is she going to make it? Is she not? Is she going to do this? But how did she get away from this, right? This walker is slowly coming around, and it looks great. Again, another walker with long clothes and a long shirt on. That they always have that. And right here, how did Kelly get out of this? We don't know. It doesn't really matter too much, but next time we see Kelly, she's against a tree and away from that, being rescued by Dog, Daryl, Connie, and Magna. And what do you think this whole situation here with Daryl and Connie? I love the story. The Merle story is classic. I can just picture Michael Rooker doing that. And I just picture Merle and Daryl as, younger people doing that on the lake on a stolen boat. And it's funny, like fishing, drinking, fell out of the boat, stolen boat. It's just great. The story is believable. I just believe Norman Reedus when he's delivering these lines. And I don't know if it was ad-libbed or what, but it's definitely one of those things. And does this sign mean that they're going to be together? If so, could Connie be in trouble? Because I don't think Daryl's going anywhere. And Connie could be out of it if they have a relationship, because if people fall in love on this show, it doesn't bode well. And I don't want either of these characters to go, but I doubt, highly doubt, that Daryl Dixon is ever going to be killed off the show. But if Daryl and Connie get together, that may be the kiss of death for Connie or Kelly or both, even though I do feel that Kelly will be gone this season. As for Magna, what do you think of her? I don't like she was stealing stuff. That's for sure. Maybe Kelly's to blame as much as Magna, but what do you make of the book here and the title? Is it foreshadowing or something? I don't know. But what do you think of Yumiko basically being the leader at Hilltop? I liked it, actually. I think she stepped up, and she can definitely do it, and a lot of people were coming to her. Family, and Connie and Kelly is part of Magna's family, so I get it. And did Daryl do the heart wrong, and then Connie did it right? Did Daryl represent love? I just don't know exactly. Also, when Magna was reading her book, what was the song that was playing and who was actually singing? I kind of have a feeling it was Ryan Hurst based on the way he sounds and the possible beta backstory, but that's just a theory right now. We'll have to wait and see if it comes out that it was. But I could see it being Ryan Hurst singing because it kind of sounded like him. And I definitely like the bonding with Sadiq and Ezekiel, and I don't know if Ezekiel's sick. They can easily say that he doesn't have thyroid cancer, or he could. They can go either way with that, because in the zombie apocalypse, they're not going to know about medicine like that and medical care and be able to have the imaging and blood work and be able to run all these tests. So he could have thyroid cancer, or he could survive. He could survive either way, but what if he gets help from the Commonwealth at the end of the season or in season 11? That's if he survives. That's definitely a growth, maybe a goiter, maybe cancerous, maybe something else, but he could survive. I did like Daryl asking Ezekiel about Carol, and basically Ezekiel's like, nah, I don't really need to worry about that. I didn't like that he turned off the radio though, as you gotta talk to Carol, that's for sure. I like Sadiq and Ezekiel talking. People are going through things in this world, in the zombie apocalypse, on this show, but also in real life. It helps to talk things out and to talk with people. Whether it's fictional or not, it's a good thing to have a support system. And it's interesting, Daryl's kind of scratching his throat there, and that's what happens. Ezekiel's got a growth on his throat. But Ezekiel's coughing, and I was like, maybe it is the smoke inhalation. But then they dropped the bomb that could possibly be thyroid cancer. But there is all that smoke that he was breathing in from the fire, so they could get around it and he could live, and I hope he does. As for this little statue that Henry made, it's like, oh man, gets it right in the heart. Shiva, Henry, it's cool, and they need to make those. That's for sure. That would be pretty cool if they put them in a supply box or something. I want to get one of those. Sadiq on the radio is interesting. What do you make of the bug that Rosita has, or caught a bug? That means she's a little sick, not an actual bug. So I think it's the tainted water from what Gamma was doing with the walkers and the water supply. And it just means that someone could be sick. And what if it actually takes out some people? But Gamma was definitely highlighted in this episode, which is cool because I think big stuff is going to happen with Gamma and Alpha and Aaron. The whole thing with the masks, and I feel like Aaron is going to be meeting Gamma like that, without her mask, per Alpha. Alpha is going to send Gamma, potentially, this is my theory, I'm not sure. I just see Gamma meeting Aaron and trying to bring him over to the Whisperer side. But I hope that Aaron saw this and warns everybody at Alexandria. This is what they're doing, and he puts 2 and 2 together like, what? Wait a second. They were putting this blood and guts and intestines and all this stuff in the water, and that people are getting sick. Even though it's a little creek, I don't know if it's a major water supply. But I just see something happening between Gamma and Aaron, and Gamma could help our group. This thing was crazy. Don't talk back to Alpha. Don't even make any suggestions, because you're going to get taken out. That was pretty cool. And hopefully you know that they mean Guardians as walkers, and the Whispers call walkers Guardians. It's just like another name, right? I mean, it's so many different things. We have so many different names. So we were called Guardians and Hisslers or Hissers or whatever what Amelia said when they were talking. So nothing is called a zombie on this show. Everything but zombies is what the people call them on this show. And we got to talk about Negan, that's for sure. Negan is definitely full redemption arc, story arc going forward. Him and Milo was cool, and he saved this chick, who I believe is Amelia. We never really get her name, but Negan is trying to help these people, and he was sending them to Hilltop, which was nice. And he's talking about nut tapping and just being kind of the father figure. And he's like, nope, I never did that to Carl, and I wouldn't hurt a kid. So Negan still has morals. As for Brandon, this actor did a great job, because I felt like Brandon was creepy as for sure. That's one of those things where like, man, he did a great job, and he was basically a child savior. His dad was a savior, and Rick came in and did this, and he basically didn't really like Rick too much, which is kind of like the comic too. But Team Negan is gone. I'm glad that Negan took this guy out, and Negan continues on in a positive light. And did you pick up the fact that Negan taking out the walker with the barbed wire around the walker where he pulled it with the stick? Is that foreshadowing what he's going to do to Alpha? Potentially. And it was pretty hilarious when he's walking in there and he's like, what's a guy got to do to get eaten around here? Little pig, let me in, the big bad wolf. It was pretty awesome. And this is why Negan is kept alive. Negan was kept alive for this moment. Initially, you're like, oh man, he should have took Negan out, that's for sure, but we wouldn't have this story arc going forward. We wouldn't have this whole story arc, because imagine if Rick was gone, Maggie was gone, Michonne's leaving, what would we have? Daryl, Carol, Aaron, and a couple people, and it would be great. But Negan is going to carry this. Negan is going to carry this Whisperer story arc in a major way. And Negan was a great part of this episode. People are rooting for Negan. I mean, people may not ever get over the fact that he took out Glenn and Abraham. And this was kind of reminiscent of the Woods and the Whisperers and the lineup and everything. But when Negan was thrown down, he was basically going after a Whisperer, and Beta threw him down. It was pretty awesome. It was a great moment, and you know that Negan is not going to be killed. Negan is going to have to meet Beta, and Negan is going to have to be hilarious, especially with the one-liners, with all these skin freaks and all these different things, and I can just imagine what he's going to say to Beta when he gets more dialogue with Beta. Hopefully next episode, probably going to stretch it out, but he's like, all right, let's do this, and they need to fight. I personally think that to beat Beta, you're going to need 2, maybe 3 guys to beat Beta. So it could be Negan, Daryl, and Aaron to take Beta down. Because you know Beta's going to be running things at some point. So overall, Season 10, Episode 5 was great. It was awesome. It was definitely some things setting up for the future of the series in the first half of Season 10 and beyond. I'm super excited. Negan is stealing the show. And I'm not sure if everyone's going to enjoy it, but you have to be rooting for Negan right now, right? He's done everything right since Season 9 into Season 10, and the redemption arc continues on. So I can't wait to watch next week's episode. Let me know your thoughts. Post your comments below. And for those interested in my Zombie Apocalypse book series, I got 10 books available now. The link to all 10 books is in the description below to our Amazon storefront. I hope you pick up your copy today and join the fight. And tell them, Daryl.
Yo, we love you guys. Honestly, thank you.